What if the world around you could fall apart, and yet you remained unshaken? What if storms came, relationships crumbled, fortunes disappeared, but within you there was calm, clarity, and control? That is the essence of Stoic discipline, self-mastery in the face of chaos. To begin mastering yourself, you must first understand what that truly means in the Stoic tradition. The Stoics, most famously Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believed that the only true control we have in this life lies within our own minds, not in our reputation, not in our possessions, not even in our bodies. We chase influence, comfort, wealth, and recognition, but as every Stoic wisely observed, all these things are vulnerable to fate. One phone call can shatter your peace. One market crash can wipe out your fortune. One betrayal can steal your joy if your peace depends on the external. Only in our judgments, desires, choices, and responses. In other words, you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "How will I respond to what is happening?" You refuse to hand your emotions, energy, and focus over to what is outside your control. You anchor your power within. The illusion of control. Modern life encourages us to obsess over external success. The Stoic path flips this illusion on its head. Instead of trying to control the world, the Stoic seeks to control how they meet the world. It is an act of radical strength. This shift is not passive acceptance. The core of Stoic discipline, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught a foundational idea that underpins all Stoic discipline: the dichotomy of control. It is both simple and life-altering. Some things are in our control and others not in our control. Our thoughts, our choices, our values. Where your attention goes, your power flows. The undisciplined person wastes energy on worrying about what might happen or obsessing over things they cannot change. The Stoic redirects that energy inward to cultivate wisdom, courage, and calm. It is a fortress built not from stone but from reason, virtue, and discipline. The Emperor of Rome, burdened by war, plague, and betrayal, found solace in his self-mastery. He understood what we must all learn. You cannot always change your circumstances, but you can always rule your response. Our response is our effort out of our control. Every small act of restraint, every decision to respond instead of react, builds your inner strength. Other people's actions, the weather. Like a muscle, discipline grows with repetition. This doesn't mean they stop caring or taking action. It means they act wisely, detached from outcomes they cannot guarantee. The past, the future, our reputation. Discipline is forged through discomfort, through choosing what is right over what is easy, and that requires practice. The disciplined person learns to focus exclusively on what they can control and let go of the rest. This is the beginning of self-mastery, disciplining your attention, building your inner citadel. They lash out in anger, chase validation, or spiral into anxiety, all because they haven't learned to command themselves. They don't seek control over others. They seek control over themselves. That is true power. Marcus Aurelius called this place of strength within you the inner citadel. In his meditations, Marcus often reminded himself that no matter what others did, his mind was still free. It's about living with intention rather than instinct. The more you practice, the more your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. Ask yourself, you are the master of how you respond to them. The Stoic path does not promise comfort, but it promises clarity, strength, and unshakable peace. When insulted, do I react or remain composed? When disappointed, do I panic or stay grounded? When tempted, do I give in or rise above? These moments are the training ground. Every reaction is a chance to practice discipline. Every hardship is a call to sharpen your mastery. You need to become consistent. You will stumble, but each day is a new chance to begin again. Self-mastery is a daily discipline. The Stoics didn't believe self-mastery was a one-time achievement. It was a daily practice, a lifelong effort. Seneca wrote, No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. You don't need to become perfect. Here are some Stoic practices to start your journey. Morning reflection. Ask yourself, what kind of challenges will I likely face today? How can I meet them with reason? Evening journaling. Reflect, where did I act in line with my values today? Where did I fall short? Voluntary discomfort. Occasionally deny yourself small pleasures, fasting, cold showers. Silence to remind your body that comfort is not a necessity. Pause before reacting. Insert a space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your freedom. Why self-mastery is freedom. Most people are slaves to their moods, their cravings, and their fears. The Stoic is different. They may still feel emotion. Stoicism is not cold detachment, but they are not ruled by emotion. If you conquer yourself, then you will conquer the world. Paulo Coelho, a modern echo of Stoic truth. You will not always succeed. But Stoic discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about being deliberate. Self-mastery begins with one simple truth. You are not your emotions, your fears, or your impulses. Discipline is the doorway to freedom. Walk through it daily. What controls your life, your reason, or your desires? Every day, we are bombarded by temptations. The desire for comfort, for pleasure, for indulgence whispers constantly, one more hour of sleep, one more slice, one more distraction. The Stoic path, however, demands that we resist the pull of impulse and stand firm in discipline. To master yourself, you must learn to discipline your desires, not destroy them, but bring them into harmony with reason. The war within. Stoicism teaches that the greatest battle we face is the one inside us, the battle between what feels good and what is good. The body cries out for pleasure. The ego seeks approval. The mind longs for ease. The Stoic warrior must decide daily to follow virtue, even when the path is steep and the reward is delayed. But wisdom knows what is pleasant is not always profitable. Epictetus said it plainly. Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it. You become dependent on conditions. Good food, good weather, good treatment from others. Your happiness becomes fragile. Your peace becomes negotiable. But Stoicism offers a harder, higher truth. Not all desires are worth following. He is content with little because he is rich in self-control. To be ruled by desire is to be enslaved by whatever promises satisfaction. But the disciplined man is independent of cravings. His joy is not tied to what he gets, but to how he lives. Cravings are not commands. The Stoic learns to pause, question, and weigh the consequence of desire before taking action. Modern culture tells you to follow your heart, chase your desires, and never deny yourself. Why? Because hardship trains the will. Voluntary discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. Feelings are not facts. Cravings are not commands. I am stronger than my wants. You crave junk food. Will it serve your body or sabotage your strength? You feel like yelling. Will it solve the problem or deepen the damage? You want to quit. Will it bring peace or regret? Each moment of desire is a test. The undisciplined person follows the feeling. The Stoic asks whether it aligns with virtue. Voluntary discomfort. Training the will. It is saying, I will not be ruled by every urge. They whisper to your subconscious, I am not my cravings. Seneca recommended practicing poverty, even when you are comfortable, so that you never become a slave to luxury. Try this. Sleep on the floor for a night. Go a day without your phone. It is the highest form of strength. I choose who I am becoming over what I feel right now. Fast for 12 or 24 hours. Each no is a yes to discipline. Take a cold shower. He channels his energy into what is just, wise, and useful. Walk rather than drive. These small acts teach you that you can endure more than you think. With practice, your discipline grows. You become resilient, calm, and unconquered because your peace no longer depends on pleasure. It is about becoming noble. The power of saying no to yourself is not weakness. He enjoys comfort but does not require it. He is free. The Stoic does not chase every feeling. This is the Stoic standard. Delayed gratification, moral courage, long-term vision. You don't pretend temptations don't exist. You face them and choose the higher road. Even Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, reminded himself in Meditations, you are not compelled to act just because a feeling arises, but disciplined. It becomes a force that drives you toward greatness. He enjoys what is good in life without being owned by it. It's about ruling over yourself, so no craving, no urge, and no temptation can rule you. You control it through reason. Which did I follow? He drinks the wine but does not need it. Saying no might mean resisting a sexual urge, rejecting gossip, putting down the drink, or staying focused when your mind wants to wander. Each no makes you stronger. Left unchecked, it will consume your reason. Reflect honestly. Growth begins in awareness. Controlling versus suppressing desire. Stoicism is not about becoming numb. You don't suppress desire with shame. Desire is natural. But undisciplined desire leads to chaos. A Stoic is not cold or joyless. Practice the desire audit to grow in this discipline. Take a daily desire audit. Ask yourself, what did I want most today? What impulses did I resist? Were those desires aligned with my values? How can I respond better tomorrow? Write it down. Desire is a fire. The Stoic life is not about denying joy. It's about choosing deep joy over shallow pleasure. When you say no to impulse, you say yes to strength. Modern life teaches us to chase comfort, softer beds, faster meals, warmer clothes, and endless entertainment are just a tap away. But the Stoics knew something dangerous lurked beneath this constant craving for ease, dependence. If comfort becomes your master, you will collapse when it disappears. You will fear hardship. You will avoid challenge. You will panic when life takes a sharp turn, as it always does. That's why the Stoics deliberately practiced voluntary hardship. It was not self-punishment. It was self-preparation. It was training. Why the wise embraced discomfort? Because he lacked luxury. But because he refused to be enslaved by it. He knew that true freedom meant being able to lose it all and remain undisturbed. To the undisciplined, hardship is a curse. To the Stoic, it is a classroom. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest and wisest men, often slept on the floor and ate plain food. Not we should be anticipating all things and have them continually before our eyes, he wrote. Practicing hardship builds emotional resilience. It strengthens the will. It prepares you for the inevitable blows of fate, rejection, loss, failure, illness. When you have tasted discomfort by choice, you are not broken when it comes by force. Hardship, a mirror. When you walk instead of drive, you confront your impatience. When you spend a day in silence, you discover how often you speak to avoid your own thoughts. Voluntary discomfort also reveals your attachments. When you fast, you see how often your hunger is just boredom. Hardship shines a light on where your impulses hide. And once you see them, you can master them. The goal is not to reject comfort altogether. It is to ensure that comfort does not define you. Ask yourself, you don't need to move to a cave or wear a sack. Begin with simple, controlled trials that challenge your routine. Can I be calm when things are uncomfortable? Can I endure small pains without complaint? Can I go without what I'm used to and still remain whole? If the answer is no, then you are still ruled by externals. But with discipline, the answer can change. Building your tolerance. Small trials, big gains. Start small. Fasting once a week, even just until evening. Cold showers in the morning to train your body and mind to accept discomfort. Sleeping on the floor once a month, as a reminder that luxury is not a necessity. You no longer see yourself as someone who must be pampered, protected, or rescued, walking long distances rather than driving. That identity stoic, calm, firm is forged in trial, not in ease, wearing plain clothes instead of what boosts your pride. The more we seek ease, the more we shrink inside. Muscles weaken when unused, so does the will, speaking less in conversations to practice silence and presence. Each act rewires your relationship with comfort. Each challenge whispers, I am not fragile, I am forged. The mindset of a warrior, not a victim. When you embrace voluntary hardship, you shift your identity. You see yourself as someone who can endure, adapt, and overcome. This is a key Stoic idea. You cannot control what life gives you, but you can always choose who you are in response. Even Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, reminded himself daily to expect pain, difficulty, and insult not with fear, but with preparedness. You too can face adversity with readiness, but only if you've trained for it. Comfort is the enemy of growth. A life without hardship is a life without depth. The Stoic knows that the more you practice discipline in good times, the more composed you'll be in bad times. When the power goes out, you'll be calm. When the money is tight, you'll be focused. When life hurts, you'll be grounded, not broken. Discomfort sharpens the soul. It reminds you that strength is not built through pleasure but through purposeful pain. Practice monthly Stoic trial. Create a ritual. Once a month, choose a 24-hour challenge. It must inconvenience you. It must remove a comfort you normally rely on. When you strip away comfort, you reveal the core of who you are. Not to suffer for its own sake, but to build a self that is stronger, clearer, and utterly untouchable by fate. You discover that you are tougher than you imagined. You learn that you can do without, and therefore you are free. Examples: a full day of silence, a 10-mile walk with no headphones, a day eating only plain rice and water, a phone-free day of journaling and reflection. Afterwards, journal. What did I learn? What emotion was hardest to face? Where am I still weak? Over time, this discipline becomes your armor. Voluntary hardship is not about pain, it's about power. This is the wisdom of restraint. He welcomes it as a teacher. The Stoic doesn't fear discomfort. A storm does not destroy the mountain. It roars, it rages, it rains, but the mountain stands. So must you. The Stoic ideal is not to be emotionless, but to be unshaken. To feel, but not be ruled. To experience pain, fear, or anger, and yet remain deliberate, composed, and just. It's about choosing your response, not reacting like a puppet pulled by the strings of impulse. This chapter is about reclaiming control over your emotional life. It's about turning your feelings from masters into messengers. The Stoic view of emotions arise from our judgments, not from the world itself. What we think about an event determines how we feel about it. One person panics, another sees it as an opportunity. Understand them, examine them, question them, and then choose what to do next. Same event, different judgment. The Stoics understood emotion not as something evil, but as something untrained. One person feels shame, another laughs it off. Same words, different meaning. Consider this. Before you send that message, before you lash out, you lose your job, someone insults you. So the Stoics taught, master the mind, and you master emotion. Don't try to suppress your feelings. Say, I'm angry because I feel disrespected. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Marcus Aurelius. This is the heart of emotional discipline, changing the narrative in your head. Because the one who controls his emotions rules himself, and in a sense, rules the world around him. Reaction versus response. Let's be clear, emotion is natural. Anger, sadness, fear, they arise. But the difference between reaction and response is time and awareness. A reaction is automatic. It is unfiltered, often regretted. A response is thoughtful, It is deliberate, wise, and restrained. The undisciplined person reacts, yells when insulted, panics under pressure, sulks when offended. The Stoic responds, observes the emotion arise, pauses, interrogates it, and acts from principle, not impulse. This is not easy, but it is powerful. Techniques for emotional mastery. 1. The pause before you speak. Pause, breathe, count to 5. Ask yourself, what principle do I want to live by right now? Will this action bring peace or regret? This small space between trigger and action is where discipline lives. 2. Name the emotion. The Stoics encouraged clarity. Don't say, I'm upset. Labeling emotion helps you detach from it and see it as a visitor, not your identity. 3. Ask what depends on you. If someone insults you, can you control what they said? No. Can you control your response? Yes. So focus there. He is not afraid of what stirs his heart. He is determined to discipline it. Train yourself to mentally separate what's within your control, your reaction, from what's not. Their words, the event. This is emotional freedom. Every trigger reveals a place where your judgments need refinement, where your ego needs humbling, or where your wounds need healing. 4. Reflect at night. At day's end, ask, when did emotion control me? Where did I act with wisdom? You must pause before you speak, question before you act, and choose principle over passion. How can I respond better tomorrow? Seneca did this nightly, believing that examined emotions lose their grip, turning pain into power. What if emotions could be used, not avoided? What if fear could become alertness, anger could become motivation, sadness could become clarity? The Stoic doesn't kill emotion, he transmutes it. Fear reminds us to prepare. Anger reminds us something feels unjust and calls us to act rightly, not rashly. Sadness reminds us that we care and that love, even in grief, is a virtue. Don't be a stone, be a flame, alive but controlled, burning but not consumed. Emotional triggers are teachers. What makes you lose your temper? What makes you spiral into despair? What makes you feel worthless? These are not signs of failure, they are invitations to grow. The Stoic seeks out his triggers. Like a soldier sharpens his blade. Practice the 3-question emotional drill. When an emotion flares up, ask yourself, is this emotion based on truth or assumption? Is it helping or hurting my ability to act wisely? What would the Stoic sage do right now? With repetition, your emotional responses become guided by reason, not driven by chaos. Emotion is not your enemy, but undisciplined emotion is. To master yourself, you must bring your feelings under the guidance of your values. The Stoic doesn't live without emotion. He lives above it, choosing to respond with clarity, restraint, and wisdom. The world may provoke you, but it does not have to control you. The final victory is not over others, but over the inner storms that once ruled you. Greatness is not achieved by sudden bursts of brilliance. It is cultivated through quiet, repeated choices, day after day, moment after moment. The Stoics understood that transformation is not about rare acts of willpower, but about structured daily discipline. Just as the body is strengthened through consistent training, the soul is refined through regular Stoic practice. If you want to master yourself, you must design your day intentionally. You must build habits that train your mind to align with reason, your emotions to serve virtue, and your actions to reflect your values. In this chapter, we will walk through the daily rituals that form the backbone of Stoic life, and how you can adopt them for modern strength. Why habits matter in Stoicism. One who trains himself to pause and reflect becomes wise. Discipline is not a mood, it is a way of life. Your habits are your true character in motion. The Stoics believed that what we do regularly becomes who we are. A man who regularly complains becomes a complainer. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by events, but by our interpretation of them. If that is true, Then training your mind every day to respond with calm and clarity becomes the highest priority. So how do you build a disciplined Stoic mind, one habit at a time? The morning ritual, preparing the soul before the world demands your attention. Train your mind, breathe deeply, focus on your breath. Let your thoughts settle like dust and still water. A Stoic morning is quiet, simple, and focused. It returns to awareness throughout the day. Don't dread them. Prepare for them. Say, I expect discomfort, and I will meet it with composure. When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. Marcus Aurelius, the day begins not with reaction, but with reflection. Morning routine steps. These check-ins remind you that self-mastery is not a what-time decision, but an hourly devotion. Silence. Begin with 5 to 10 minutes of silence or meditation. Premeditatio malorum, foreseeing trouble. Visualize possible difficulties ahead. Traffic. Betrayal. Setbacks. Disrespect. Seneca, set your intention. Choose a virtue to embody today. Patience. Courage. Humility. Write it down or speak it aloud. Today I will practice restraint in the face of insult. Read or reflect. Read a short passage from a Stoic work, Meditations. Letters to Lucilius, Discourses. Let one phrase guide your actions. This routine does not take long, but done consistently, it transforms how you step into the world, not as prey to impulse, but as a disciplined warrior of reason. The midday check-in, returning to center. The Stoic mind does not just prepare once. Create moments of reflection. Don't excuse yourself, but don't shame yourself either. The goal is to become a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were today. During lunch, pause and ask, am I living by my principles? It builds the twin Stoic virtues of honesty and accountability. After a difficult interaction, take a moment. Did I respond with virtue? Before a big task, what would a wise person do here? You don't need a monastery, just a willingness to pause. Even Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the world, wrote in his journal between meetings, returning again and again to his values. Evening. Reflection. The Stoic audit. I will keep constant watch over myself and, most usefully, will put each day up for review. The day is over, but your training is not. The Stoic ends each evening with a moral inventory, not to punish, but to improve. Evening reflection questions. They are reminders. I am not ruled by comfort. I am stronger than my body's urges. What did I do well today? Where did I fail to live up to my standards? What emotions ruled me and why? How can I improve tomorrow? It is the collection of deliberate daily choices to live by reason rather than reaction. Write your answers. This simple practice, minus 5 to 10 minutes each night, is one of the most powerful tools for self-mastery ever known. Voluntary discomfort as habit. Throughout the week, the Stoic integrates small acts of voluntary hardship to remain sharp. Skip a meal, sleep without a pillow, take a cold shower, walk rather than drive. Sit in silence for an hour. These are not punishments. Regular voluntary discomfort makes real adversity less frightening and builds gratitude for what you normally take for granted. Habitual restraint, training the tongue and the temper. Another Stoic habit is watching your speech and reaction. Speak less, listen more, avoid gossip, flattery, or impulsive comments. Refuse to argue just to be right. If insulted, pause, then respond with calm or silence. Every time you restrain the tongue or temper, you build the muscle of self-command. Stick to it, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Stoic self-mastery is not a theory, it is a routine. You do not rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your training. So, train daily. Begin each day with intention. End each day with review. Refine your character hour by hour. Let your habits reflect your highest values, and you will slowly become what the Stoics called the sage, common crisis, firm in virtue, free in spirit.